besides that, Dune 2, we can get into it.
You can.
I guess we
just
can
ask us any questions you may have, and we'll answer and tell the people your number out of 10.
we can talk about spoilers now. Spoilers here. We're going to talk about parts of the movie. My
Ben,
overarching review.
Spoilers.
Ben, he's seen 2 by now, right? Though.
I think so.
Evan?
I think you've seen it.
Yeah, I think he texted the group.
Just in case. This one's for you, Ben.
I guess when you guys all said you loved it. Evan, did you text after you saw it? I know Alex did. I know Luke did. I know a bunch of people did.
It.
Like when you
thoroughly
walked out of there, was it all like, wow, that was amazing? Or was there any parts of you that were like, that left a little bit to be desired?
I think some people viewed it as like the greatest movie they've ever seen. I don't think I would like put it in that category. There were definitely parts of the movie that I was like, that could have been better. Like, and it didn't like, it wasn't fully, I left the theater like, oh my God, I need to see this again in an hour. But I was like, wow, that was a really good movie.
Mm-hmm. I guess, did you guys know though, how the books go? Like, were you expecting it to go like that because you knew the backstory of what the books were about?
Had no idea.
I didn't either. I learned a lot, and I do understand. Like, I'm not trying to be jerked for the sake of disliking what a lot of people like. I understand they had to follow the book, and the book sets it up for number 3, I understand they're trying to make a lot of money here. I'm not stupid. I get capitalism. They don't want to just get crazy at the end of movie 2 and deviate from the book because they're trying to build things up in the storyline. I will say I liked a lot of it, like 3/4 of it. I think what I wrote, the scenes that stand out to me, I loved watching Paul become one with the Fremen. I love the scene where he learned how to ride the worm. I think that was my favorite scene in the whole movie. That was awesome. Like, just the boys chilling on the hill, boys and girls chilling on the hill, rooting them on. When you see that worm on the hill, you're like, oh my God, this is a massive worm that Paul's about to ride for the first time. So that was cool. I loved when they stood up and cheered him. I would basically say from the minute that Paul like fired the nukes onto the station there, and then like the battle starts, it just felt like everything was rushed and like on 150 speed, and it was a cool visual. But I don't know. I think once they got into where everyone was meeting in the Emperor's globe, for lack of a better term, it just felt so easy and almost like cliche. There was parts of it I just couldn't wrap my brain around. I was like, why didn't the Sardaukar, his army, like actually do anything? They just stood there like bumps on a log with their swords out and let Paul walk right in. And then selfishly, like everyone's like, oh, it's easy to shit on a movie. What would you do? I would have loved if he just killed the Emperor right there. I would have loved if he just cut his head off. That would have been electric. And there was a full-on battle with his army. I was also hoping maybe he would. Selfishly, I was Team Zendaya. I wanted him to pick her. I understand the book says he picks the princess, but I hated that. I was mad. I was like, damn, Zendaya got done dirty. I wanted her to be with him.
That's good. They
and
caused you some anger.
Yeah. I was just, when I was home, I was like spitballing words. I was like, I would have done this, or like this would have been crazy. But I get, they got to follow the book to set up the third. It's just, there was so much potential there with how it went on. I was like, I left disappointed, I guess. But I understand.
I agree with you in the sense that when I think back on it, the whole takeover scene at the end where they like just infiltrate, kill everybody basically in like 30 seconds. Yeah, it was a little easy, a little simple, I guess. They just walked in and they won. It was that fast. And then they had their little like battle, which I thought was cool. But he didn't kill the Emperor, and then he made him like kiss his ring and all that. I don't know. You can nitpick any movie, I think.
Yeah.
I guess I get what you're saying. It's not some unreasonable movie take that you usually have. This one actually has, logic and reasoning behind it.
I thought like the nephew that they built up, I thought he was going to step in and try to prevent Paul from killing the Baron right in the neck. I thought there was going to be some moment there, but it was like, no, I'm just going to stab this Baron in the neck and he's going to die. And is that just the end of him? mean, it was a cool moment seeing him kill the Baron. That's fine, but it was the lack of resistance. Like they did set up in a cool way. Like all the leaders are standing there. They hear this pounding on the door, and then they just blow it down, and they just walk in. He just like stabs him in the neck, and then the Emperor's like, "Yeah, go ahead."
In the book, the daughter in the womb, she's the one that kills the Baron, I believe.
That's what I've heard.
So they did go off book a little, but Evan, what do you think of Grant's takes?
I mean, they're just. I'm with him on that. I'm like the fighting scene at the end is just it's a little
Seems
rushed.
too quick. Yeah,
But I'm not going to nitpick because I enjoy the big time movie. Obviously, every single movie there's going to be parts where you like and you don't like. And if it's not your cup of tea, you're going to have more things that you don't like than you like. And I also think nowadays movies, they don't give a shit how long they are because everybody's going to go watch them. And I do like that if the movie makes you think, makes you follow along. You can't just sit there and just
like I'm
true.
assuming Marissa just had no clue what was happening. So that's how it sounded based on her questions afterwards.
No, I think she was just confirming. She was right. I was confused. I didn't, I guess, initially pick up on that the Fremen were like taking the Emperor's spaceships out of there. I didn't really grasp that when he said lead them to paradise. She was like, oh, they like flew away to go to a different planet to like start the Holy War. I was like, oh, okay. I that went fast for me. The part that I was like confused on, and I found a Reddit thread confirming the same thing. It went so fast. The way they shot it, I couldn't tell how Paul stabbed the nephew again with all the knives that were in play. I think from what I understand, he let the nephew stab him in his shoulder and he took the one out of his own belly and then put it in his belly.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it.
But then I was like, I kind of wish they would have filmed it better so I could have clearly seen that, because I was like, how the did he just stab the nephew? Which is fine, make me think a little bit, but I had to go do some research to make sure I felt good about how he actually killed him. I was like, the last time I saw it, it was slipping through Paul's fingers, and then it turned around and it's in his belly.
Yeah, they probably could have filmed that better. Like when Arya kills the Night King, they showed like the sick visual of her dropping the knife into her other hand and killing.
A nice slow mo for the
sick.
people like me that need to like slow it down a little bit.
If they did that for Grant, he would be like, wow, that scene was awesome.
Yeah. Or like, and then they set it up so cool too, where the nephew's like, oh, is this your pet? And he kind of walks towards Zendaya, but does nothing with her. And she doesn't get involved at all. I thought Zendaya was going to come in and cut his neck, but nothing. It was just like, everyone's standing there. I understand back in, well, I guess this is forward in the day. You have to choose your champion, like in Game of Thrones, and everyone just stands there like, oh, this is how we're going to decide who's the
They
ruler.
just accept it. It is such a bizarre concept. That's
so bizarre. And like, yeah,
you're not capable of fighting. Someone can fight for you.
Yeah, the Sardakar's there, and they're doing nothing. They're just standing there. Like, I don't know. It was weird. And then like Florence Pugh, like she was Florence Pugh, sure, but I don't know. I know she's going to set up for the future one because she's going to be his wife, quote unquote. I hope. I'm not going to watch the third one. I'm out. I hope Zendaya starts her army and beats the out of Paul. I hope she kills Paul. That's my goal.
You're not going to watch the third one. Like
No,
that's
out.
how like you were out. Like that movie is not good enough for you to watch a third.
Unless I hear there's a crazy plot twist at the end that's not just following the carbon copy of the books, then I don't know. I feel like they're getting too hammered by the books, which is fine because that's the goal, to build it out. But that's why I still go back to why that No Time to Die was so awesome, because of the risks they took at the end. And it was like, no, the good guy's not getting out of this one. He's dead. No spoilers there, but
no, I agree. I love movies where like someone important dies. I love that, like, especially when the main character gets killed or like someone that you like gets killed. I love when that happens in a movie because then you're like depressed and it really makes you feel all the emotions. This movie, that did not happen. All the bad guys got killed and no good guys got killed.
Yeah, the Baron dies,
movie,
but
they killed a couple. Well, I mean, I guess a lot of good guys, but we didn't know them long enough because it's the first movie.
no.
Like every like good important character that you like think is on the good side, because we really don't know who's on the good side at this point anymore. They all survived.
It was too. You just know me. I just laugh at inappropriate times in movies when like people are supposed to be dialed in. When like, because Paul was just loving, he was like self-aware. He wanted to do the right thing. And I understand that's
so fast.
What the worm piss does to you. We see him drink the worm piss, then he walks into that I mean, that room, that cave that must have had 1 billion Fremen in it. Just insane. And he just is screaming in the tough, gruff guy voice. I'm like, okay, I can't take this guy seriously right now. Like, so I've spent 2 hours with him as like the self-aware hero. And now he's like, do what I say. Like, okay.
It was a quick 180.
Visually stunning, amazingly shot. The lengths they went to for this movie had to be out of this world. I'm pretty sure they filmed a lot of it in an actual desert, from what I read. So credit to them for that.
Yeah. No, the cinematography was great.
It's entertaining, but top 5 for me, no, I can't. I can't go
Not
top
even
5.
not even gonna watch the third movie. I think is the only takeaway I had from that. But
That is disappointing. But I don't want to set myself up again.
there's more to a movie than the ending.
Yeah.
You can't like 75% of the movie and then think it's not very good.
Yeah. The one part too, I understand.
I haven't agreed with me there.
It's their culture. I don't think they need to have as many nicknames for the
That
holy.
is just like incredible nitpicking. Like that is just so specific nitpicking that this is like, Grant, I'm not going to like change that.
But if you just like
They have
said
too
that,
many nicknames.
if you said that out loud to someone, like, oh, so what's Paul? Oh, well, Paul is Paul. He's an Atreides. He's also Harrican. He's also the Lisan Ali Gabe. He's also Fuzat's Hadarach. He's Moab because of the little desert mouse. Like if you just went through
all that stuff.
that's what I'm saying. I looked at Mercer. I was like, I said it today. I was like, they didn't have to have like 6 nicknames for Paul. That seems like a lot.
But he is the guy.
He's him. They could have just said he's him, and I would have understood what they meant.
Well, each nickname falls onto based on who's talking. That's why.
Yeah.
Some people see him in different viewpoints.
Zendaya did
Different titles. They're each basically a different title for him based on who he was and what he's doing at that
Poor
moment.
Chani.
Yeah, that's true, Evan. That's a good point. Like Bene Gesserit was like Fizilach Hadarach, however you say that. Like that's their guy. Also, I was so sick of the Bene Gesserit by the end of that movie. Just ridiculous. The mom. Actually, this was what I wanted. I wanted Paul to kill his mom. That would be electric.
Yeah, honestly, I'm with you there. I did not like
Just
her.
stab her right in the back, right through the baby too.
Well, she's turning into a villain. That's why.
But the baby is what's that actress's name?
The one with the hair and the eyes.
They showed her once when they did like a fast flash forward to on the water.
The next one's like 10 years in advance or something.
Did you guys interpret this? This is what Marissa and I were arguing about. You know how Paul kept having that flash forward nightmare dream where it's like the barren wasteland and the people are like on their knees and he keeps talking about how he sees a holy war happening and then you see his mom in the flowing dress out in front and she kind of turns her head. That has not happened yet, right? Because Marissa thought that was the vision for when they blew up their temple. And I said, I don't think that's that. I think that's going to be in the future.
That hasn't happened.
I think that part of that future was them going down south and then taking everyone's going to die in the south if she takes over.
I think that's future, all future.
I think that was part of the.
Or maybe it happened already. That's why I just couldn't tell.
Maybe
how literal that scene needed to be. I was like, is that going to happen?
I think it was like when she took everyone down south and it was actually happening because there was that the dream or the visions were. Like your woman's gonna take over the South and like
not tough when a movie does
and kill everybody. Visions. That's why I think part of why Paul drank the.
I thought he drank it because he saw the future, like of his mom causing all these problems, so he drank it.
Yeah,
but none of that had happened yet. Right?
He was trying to prevent.
I guess we don't know. Don't do too many visions in a movie because this is what happens, and you really don't know.
Stay tuned for number 3, Alex. Stay tuned for number 3.
Well, I'm watching.
Well, she was listening to the baby talk to him or to her.
Yeah, when the baby spoke out loud, that was scary. Also, why couldn't Paul have used his voice during the fight with the nephew? Is that just no go? That's like against the bro code. I was like, why can't he just win this battle and tell the nephew to put his knife down and like stab him?
Great point. I don't know.
The only other one.
You didn't like the black and white fight scene?
Well, okay, I should say this. I'm I'm glad I watched it in the, is it EMAX or whatever, the EMX theater?
I don't know what you saw.
I might be old man yells at clouds. Some of those scenes were way too loud. I was like actively like covering my ear with my hoodie. It was so, that whole sequence when those cartoon figures in Madden are jumping up and down in the
You're
arena
hurting.
yelling.
You're hurting your cause here. You had a decent points, and it's just spiraling.
Incredibly loud, Alex. It was still fine. And I enjoyed the sounds for like the more intimate parts when they're talking because it felt clearer. But oh my God, was that scene insufferable to listen to. But
did Marissa like the movie? No, probably not.
Yeah, she said it was entertaining. I don't think those movies are like really her cup of tea to begin with, so credit to her for seeing through it. But a lot of her friends were gassing it up to her too, so it helped me convince her to go. I was like, we should just go see it. Everyone says it's good.
It was good. You can say it was
the other
good.
part that I laughed at was hilarious was when we didn't see the mom for a while, but we knew she was kind of going crazy. Then they flash forward to her, and she looks like Tekashi 6ix9ine with all those tattoos on her face. I was just like, wow, how did we get here?
Yeah. She sucked.
She sucked. So that was Dune 2. Team Zendaya for life. Team Chani. For a while, I thought it was Johnny. Until
I thought it was really Johnny until like halfway in the movie as well.
If I'm being fully honest, I thought it was Johnny until I read a recap and saw it spelled out.
Okay, it didn't take me that long.
I just never heard the word Chani. So when I was listening, I was like, oh, Johnny. I got that. Johnny and Paul.
It would be way too simple. It would be Johnny and Paul.
And Desert Spring Tears. Bring him back to life. Anyways, there's your movie reviews.